Good morning or good afternoon, depending where you are. It's exactly 12 o'clock, so it's right at the cusp of morning and afternoon. It is Saturday, but we do continue our 21-day challenge because there is no breaks in between. We are live on Facebook, we are live on Zoom. Thank you all for that are joining us. We are going to talk about something that's really, really important today. Today, we're talking about thoughts, emotions, and actions, and how our thoughts and emotions and actions actually are interrelated. Just before we go into that, yesterday we discussed about the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mind. Some key concepts that we got from that is that the conscious mind is found to be highly dependent on the subconscious mind, which actually decides on how human functions as a whole, like how we function as a whole. There is this interrelationship between the conscious and the subconscious mind. Now, we did say that we could not tap into the unconscious mind without some external help. The subconscious mind is something that we tap into all the time. The conscious mind is only 10%. The subconscious mind is almost 90% and more. What is really, really important is to remember that the past is not a predictor of the future, right? The past is not what dictates how we do things, although we tap into those emotions, those traumas, those events that may have happened in our past. Because the subconscious mind is where all our memories and emotions reside. And if we need to tap into the subconscious mind, we need to be able to know that there is this connection between the emotions and thoughts and our actions. So today we're going to discuss about how those relationship between thoughts, feelings, and actions are, and what are some of the things that we can do to make sure that we capitalize on working with our subconscious mind so that it is for our highest good. Now, all right. Okay. So imagine you have an upcoming project and you think, I don't know how to do this. Because everyone has problems, big and small, at some point in their lives. We need to learn how we control our thoughts and feelings because those are connected, right? Now, I will use the word feelings and emotions sort of interrelated. I'm going to verify what is the difference between emotions and feelings. It is often interrelated, but there is a slight difference between the two, and I will cover that today as well. But think of it this way, right? You have this project that's due, and because of that thought, you actually start to worry. You are so worried that you feel sick just thinking about it. Because it is so uncomfortable and you're sick and you don't want to start it, you actually don't do anything with the project. And what ends up happening is we go into this cyclical pattern, right? We have this thought and we say, well, what does the thought say? The soul says, I don't know how to do it. And what that ends up happening is it leads to a feeling or of an emotion, such as worry, which then leads to an action. And in this case, the action is non-action, which is not starting. So now that you haven't started the work and the project date is getting closer, so now your thought gets, oh my goodness, now what am I going to do? I may be going to get fired, right? And so you start sort of saying, if I get fired, what happens? And that creates this scarcity, that creates this fear. And so now you create the fear, which leads to an action of even being more frozen in what you're going to do, and you don't do at all. And then we say that we got fired, or the project did not get done. Well, isn't it this sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy? It's a vicious cycle that grows each time you go through the cycle. And I invite you to sometimes think about this, is because what ends up happening is that initial thought that you got that started this whole thing will have nothing to do with the thought that you ended up with. Thoughts and emotions have a profound effect on one another. Thoughts can trigger emotions, worrying, fear, but they can also serve as an appraisal of that emotion, right? That this isn't real, that it's just fear. And we talked about fear yesterday, right? False emotion appearing real. So it's really, really important how we do this. Take an example, right? If you are a dog lover and you see a dog, then you'll react to it by going to pet it or play with it. On the other hand, if you are fearful of the dog, you'll actually go into this fear mode or threatened mode and try and walk away. Same situation, different emotion because of our past experiences, our how we tap into our subconscious mind or what that particular stimulus means to us. Now, I'm going to invite you to sort of think about it this way, right? That the thought is the expression of the mind and the emotion is the experience of the body. And I bring this up because if we are stressed, we look at the impacts of stress on our body. If we have fear, we talked about the impact of fear in our body. And so for centuries, healers have pondered the connection between mental and physical health. In recent years, science has also been ready to recognize the powerful connection of the emotional, spiritual, and behavior factors that actually impact our health directly. Emotions and thought patterns can actually contribute to imbalances in our body. And so the reason why I bring this is up because remember, we're human beings, we're energy beings. And every time that there is a misalignment in our body, that means that our energy levels are different, they're lower, and we start attracting those levels of energy. So we need to make sure not only is our energy high, but then our emotions and our thoughts also need to be at that higher level. And so we are able to control the amount of endocrines in our body, how our immune system works, how our language works, our communication between the mind, body is really, really important. And it starts often with that thought. So what is a thought, right? Thoughts are the words that run through your mind. They are the things that tell you yourself about what's going on around you, what may be good, what may be bad. There are many different thoughts you can have about a single situation. Our thought creates our feelings create our behavior. So feelings and emotions, like I said, is a term that I am introducing. There is a slight difference which I'm going to go through it, right? Emotions come and go as different situations occur with you. You might feel happy. You might feel angry. You might feel sad all in one day. Actually, it may happen within the hour. Sort of like the weather sometimes we have, right? It's sunny and then it rains and then it's cloudy and then it goes back to sunny again. Very similar. Now, Nitya Shanti says that you think of the sky stays the same. Everything around it stays the same. So we as individuals actually are the same. It's these emotions that how we interpret that thought and that emotion that changes. Think of a movie screen, right? The screen does not change. It's the images that are portrayed on that movie screen that changes. And the frequency with which they change creates a storyline. And we then take that storyline. We get either really sad or really happy. Yet we know that it's just a projection on the screen. Our impacts are there based on what we're seeing. Thoughts are the words that run through our mind. They are the things that tell you yourself about what's going on around you. Remember, feelings will come and go as different situations occur, right? And so the final thing that we need to talk about is the action, because the thought creates that emotion or that feeling, and then actions are the things that you do or the way you behave. Your thoughts and feelings will have an impact on how you act. If you feel happy, you're likely to do good actions. If you feel angry, you're likely to do mean acts. So imagine how a clock works, right? There's different gears, and each gear, when it moves, changes the time. In the same manner, our actions, emotions, and thoughts are all related. An emotion can have an impact on an action. An action can have an important reaction to an emotion. Our thoughts, sometimes we do something and then we think, oh my goodness, did I do the right thing? And that's going to create an emotion. So they're all related. It's not that one starts from first. And sometimes we may have to change the order to be able to get to where we want to, right? Often thoughts result in emotions that result in action. But can you take a thought and convert it into an action so that you feel good? Let me give you an example, right? You want to go and do yoga. And you're like, oh God, it's going to be painful. I don't know how to stretch. I don't know how to do that. Those are the emotions that are coming up. And so what ends up doing is that you don't go to the yoga class. But if you thought about going to yoga and you pick up your yoga mat, you pick up your towel, you pick up your water, head over to the gym, you do the class, and you walk away, you go, oh, that felt really good. So now you've turned things around. Really, really important to know that there is an interrelationship between all three of these, right? So how can we start thinking about this in a more practical manner, right? Let's say something happened. Your boss has not spoken to you in the last week. So the thought that comes up is, my boss has been avoiding me. She must be mad at me. And so you start feeling sad. You might feel angry, you might feel fearful, you might feel that you're going to lose your job. All of those emotions and feelings come into play. So because you're sad and you're fearful, you may start avoiding this person. The moment you start avoiding this person, you're actually bringing stuff that may not be for the best for you. Because now the boss may look at this and say, why is this person avoiding me? And so there's a thought process that starts on that person's end. Just because you have a thought, it doesn't mean that it's true. So then how can we change our thoughts and our emotions, right? The first thing we can do is alter the external situation. So if somebody's being mean to you, see if you can change that around. Don't be in that environment. Walk away from that environment, right? If you are looking at focusing on something, remember, where the focus goes, the energy flows. Shift your attention. So if you are thinking about something that is not real, but you're thinking that something's going to go right, for instance, like, thinking that your boss is mad at you, how can you shift your attention and say, what has she done that actually is positive? Or just reappraising the situation. If you have to do a project and you don't know how to do it, think of it this way: wow, this is a learning opportunity for me. I could learn something and grow and potentially get a promotion and potentially teach others. So many different ways to just rephrase and reposition yourself. So let's go back to that original situation, right? What happened? The boss has not spoken to you for the last week. So if you were to think about that thought, which initially we said is that she must be mad at me, think about it, she must be really busy. What is it that I can do to help her? And so your feelings now change from being of fear to one of being cooperative, being out creative. Remember, we talked about cooperation, collaboration, out creation. And when you do that, your actions will now be one of being helpful as opposed to one of walking away from it. So just changing your thought and how you think about it and how you feel about it will actually change your actions. On the other hand, your actions may change your feelings and your thoughts. These are all interrelated. If your thought cannot change initially, can you change your action first, or how you feel about it first, and see how it has an impact on any one of those other three? I'm going to post this exercise tablet over there. Next time you have a thought or a feeling or an action that is not aligned with how you want to feel or be, can you change it? Replace it with a new pattern. So what you can do is, on line 1, write down how you're doing it right now. Line 2, write down how you would do it. Every time you have this, start writing it, because journaling is a great way, we talked about it, is to actually put your thoughts into paper, which then becomes more pronounced, right? Ram Dass says, who you think you are each day completely determines the universe you love it. Really, really important aspect, right? Our thoughts will determine the universe that we create for ourselves. You are the architect of your own destiny. Now, I haven't shared a story with you for a while, so today is a story day before we end, right? Most of you may have heard about the story of the shoes. Many years ago, 2 salesmen were sent by a British shoemaker to Africa to investigate and report back on the potential market of shoes. The first salesman reported back, there is no potential over here. Nobody wears shoes. The second salesman reported back totally different. There is a massive opportunity over here. The potential is unlimited. Nobody has shoes. Nobody wears shoes. Both of them saw the same thing where nobody was wearing shoes. Yet one person looked at the potential, the other person looked at it as scarcity. Nobody wants them. Just the way you think and you look at what it makes you feel like will change the story that you're telling yourself. Ask yourself, what is the story over here? Your inner life then becomes a mirror of your outer life, and you start creating the reality that you want. Thoughts and emotions also carry vibrations. We're all energy beings. This impacts your biochemical, your cellular, your physiological levels. At every level, this is impacted. Positive, kind, and inspiring thoughts and emotions vibrate in harmony. They are in harmonious not only with the universe, they're harmonious with yourselves. And this allows you to function optimally. In one study, it was found that the type of vibrations or energy patterns that are carried by certain words and intentions are able to cause physical changes to the DNA structure, which then affect how the genetic code is translated into future generations to make proteins that becomes the building blocks of your body. Everything is energy. And that was the reason why we looked at energy as an important aspect. So I ask you today, what thoughts are you going to change? What is the story that you're selling yourself? Tomorrow, we talk about thinking, the first principle, thinking, and how do we start changing our thinking? Thank you for joining me today. I know it's a Saturday. For all of you that joined, much appreciated. For those that are going to watch it on Facebook Live, again, your comments are really, really important to me. Put your comments down. What are you thinking? What did you get out of it? What are the 3 things that you can change to make sure that this mechanism of thoughts, actions, and emotions actually changes the way that you create your own life? Have an awesome weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. Where is my face?